And, you have to say something in a sense of like, did I do something wrong to you? And it's like, I can't recall off the top of my head, like what I said to her, but it's more of like making that visual eye contact. Like, I know you're looking at me some type of way, like, and, kind of kill them with kindness type of thing. And kind of turn it around. But in a sense of like, if you're not liking how people or organizations or whoever you're working with, like treating you in a cultural way, like you have to be able to speak up and say it kind of in the moment instead of waiting till later.
That sounds great in theory, unless you're not a confrontational person.
Me?
And you just I understand that energy.
Yeah.
I just know some people are not confrontational.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make it any better. Like they shouldn't still have to deal with that.
Right.
But to advocate for themselves, or even in a positive way, is everything cool with us?
Yeah.
They just won't do it. You know what I mean?
And so for those that cannot speak out, or a lack of don't like confrontation, you got to be able to let it go, because that's too when some people hold all of that on their shoulder, like why does people treat me this way, like all of those things. And if they can't let that go because they can't speak up for themselves, then that's going to just put extra weight on you. So that kind of goes like in a whole other direction. But yeah, so I kind of got off on that one.
No, that's great.
And so kind of like in a sense of all of those things. And again, primarily, when we're focusing in on education, it is based off of, for educators, principals, teachers, counselors, therapists, all of those things. Do you understand the environment that you're working in? Mm-hmm. If you're not from that city, especially if you're in a lower income, working in lower income or Title I school, do you understand the ins and outs of that community, whatever that looks like, right? And we're seeing a lot of things being removed from education. We see removal of social emotional learning because people think behavior is being affected by too much social emotional learning. But at the end of the day, like, do we not want our kids to know how to regulate themselves starting from an early age? And then on top of...
Could you explain social emotional?
Yeah. So social emotional learning, again, it's they call it that as like a curriculum. So certain districts and schools and even you'll see it frequent in businesses now, are giving tools to help being able to identify, manage and regulate your own emotions. And so you'll see it starting like in kindergarten. They'll do things like brain breaks or mini activities or just a feeling checks, like, hey, how are you feeling today, when you walk in, and they point to like a specific smiley face. One that gives teachers, the capacity to gauge the student with how they're feeling that morning. Or for me, like when I was teaching high school and I would have the students come in, I would do kind of like a check with them daily, and just, if my kids knew when I was teaching that I was like an open door, and they could speak to me on any and all things. And with the stipulation of I was a mandatory reporter, so if something, you weren't going to endanger yourself, and all these things, if you were in trouble, like I would have to report those things. But
I feel like there's been some improvements in our educational system, because I don't recall that being a thing. Mm-hmm. In my at least grade level education, being able to have an open door to express.
Yeah. And so not every teacher was like me, I guess, in a sense. I shared one of my students had commented with me on my podcast about some things that I did with him and how I supported him. He had a baby at 10 in 10th grade, and how all the other teachers kind of looked at it, down upon him, but I helped support him, and he didn't know how to change a diaper. I showed him on one of our fake babies that we had, kind of those types of things. And even though that's not like a tactic in social emotional learning to teach a child that, but it's more like being there for them and not judging them. And then the other component, like in as adults, I even have trainings at my job. You can see, like, do you need, how do you handle exhaustion if you are like, overworked or overwhelmed with work? And it's just kind of giving you tools on how to manage your day to day. And you can kind of say it's like counseling or therapy, but it's condensed in a way where teachers can do it with children in schools.
No, that's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. That's really great.
Yeah.
We have to do this again. Mm-hmm. We have the podcast again. Do you promise to come back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do another one.
Okay.
Because I have another educator I'm going to introduce you after our session concludes here. Can you please let people know where to find you, social media, how they can connect with you?
Yep. So you can find me on the Virtuoso Educator. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and then I have just started a YouTube channel. So I'm working on some series there. And then you'll see my email. I'm also working again with my podcast. So if any educators or families or parents want to have a discussion with me on those topics, I'm open to having you guys on with me as well.
Oh, so dope. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
My